So don't tell mom that the nickel that she gave us to go to our grandparents' store in the 1950s to buy an ice cream cone, then don't tell mom that the ice cream cone made us sick, you see, because grandma lets us dip her own ice cream. And then when she gets busy back in the corner of the store with the somebody at the post office window, then sometimes we go back for another dip of a different flavor, and again, and again, and again. But don't tell mom it's not her fault. But also, don't tell mom that in the backyard of the store is a big cherry tree, and we have to get out on the end of the limbs because that's where the ripe, sweet, white cherries are. So don't tell mom that we do fall out occasionally. Now, don't tell mom that in the 1950s, as some of you might remember, why there was a bus system, but before that is a streetcar system, and we grew up in a place called Halfway, Maryland. That's named because it's halfway between Hagerstown and Williamsport. In fact, it was the halfway streetcar stop between Hagerstown and Williamsport. But we would get out on that cherry tree, and sometimes about the middle of June, the carnival would come. The Volunteer Firemen's Carnival would come, but don't tell mom that we went over not in the day, but in the nighttime, but in the morning. And the next morning, don't tell her that we went over to where the penny pitch was, and we at the carnival, and we picked up all the pennies that fell off the platform the night before in the dark, in the dust. And we would get a big pile of pennies, and we'd go back over across the street and with our pile of pennies, and we'd line up at the penny candy counter because life was good in the capital of the world. Now, the free-range kids that lived in Halfway in the 50s considered Halfway to be the capital of the world. So life was good in the capital of the world at the store. Now, my other grandparents lived up on Kaufman Avenue in Halfway. And my grandfather's name was Papes, but his friends called him Lefty as he was missing his right arm. He lost it in an industrial accident at the Fairchild factory, helping to make the airplanes for the war effort. But he was suddenly disabled and retired, so he decided to become a cabinet maker. Now you might imagine that a cabinet maker or a furniture maker that's only got one arm would need a vise a lot, and yes, he did. But he went to making furniture, and his favorite two woods was black walnut and a white cherry. Now, one thing unique about his furniture was he didn't use polyurethane or varnish. His finishes were made with 6 coats of boiled linseed oil and a whole lot of left-handed elbow grease. And so in the 1960s, when just so happened that the old cherry tree in the back of Poole's store in Halfway had died, and Papes convinced someone to cut it down and to cut it up in boards. And in 1969, when my wife, Mary Ann, and I decided to get married, our one-arm granddaddy made us a wedding gift. He made a beautiful cherry table with turned legs and a drawer and a fine hand-rubbed finish. Now, 50 years later, I can still go and lay my hand on the surface of that cherry table. And I can, and it takes me all the way back. I can close my eyes, and in my mind's eye, I can see my friends, my free-range friends, my brother and I out there on that cherry tree eating those sweet white cherries, and I can taste them to this day. And we can stand there, and I can see the Ferris wheel of the carnival turning round and round, and I can smell the cotton candy of the carnival. And if I listen very carefully, I can hear the steel on steel, the wheel on rail of the old streetcar as it stops in halfway. And it stops in front of a little stone marker there that's got some letters carved in it and numbers. It says H3W3, signifying that there's 3 miles to Hagerstown and 3 miles to Williamsport in Halfway, Maryland. Halfway between Hagerstown and Williamsport, the capital of the world.
Wonderful. Thank you, Larry. I've always really loved the phrase free range kids, and now